Hailing from the dying planet Krypton, the Glaupunt Quadrant, Metroman uses unique alien physiology and genetic gifts to become his new world's protector. He enjoyed a long, successful career as a superhero, unable to be defeated by his arch nemesis Megamind despite his best efforts. But what if Metroman relocated to the Earth of the My Hero Academia universe? Would he preserve his undefeated track record, or would the villains and fellow heroes of My Hero Academia finally do him in? Well, in this video we're going to assess the feats and scaling of both Megamind and My Hero Academia to ultimately get a definitive answer to this question. This video is going to be pretty in-depth and detailed, so before you run to the comments, I highly recommend listening to the entire video in full. 9 times out of 10, anything you think I missed, didn't address, ignored, etc., I actually did, just at a later point in the video. With that being said, let's get started. My Hero Academia is diverse with vastly different metas and scaling arguments. If you go to Reddit, you'll be led to believe the verse is barely above city level and caps are supersonic. If you scroll through YouTube and TikTok, you'll see arguments for the verse being planetary and massively faster than light. As with many things in life, the truth lies somewhere in the middle. Debunking the lowball of My Hero Academia will naturally come by me just presenting the feats of various characters, so I'll start off debunking the wank. I've already touched on some of these arguments in my Bakugo vs Reze video, but for this video I wanted to be a bit more thorough, especially given the plethora of comments that clearly did not understand what I was saying or were engaging in bad faith. So let me make this crystal clear. The My Hero light speed meta is fried. The lowest hanging fruit is Ayama. This is the easiest to shred apart because Ayama's lasers verifiably do not operate like lasers, point blank period. It is not a matter of opinion but of scientific fact that actual lasers cannot propel people, and that is one of the trademark usages of Ayama's quirk. This is further reinforced by the massive inconsistencies introduced by assuming Ayama's lasers are light speed. Not only is Mina's acid and Sero's tape able to move at relative speeds to Ayama's laser, but Mina herself can dodge and weave through these lasers. Before I continue, let me clarify for the people in my last video who clearly don't have a grasp on how speed actually works. Dodging lasers obviously speaks to one's reaction speed, but it also speaks to movement speed. If you're reacting to a light speed projectile in motion, you need to be capable of actually moving your body relative to this projectile in order to be fast enough to dodge it in the first place. So if I was taking this laser meta at face value, Sports Festival Mina would be relativistic easily. This does not track whatsoever given the existence of Ida, whose speed as far ahead as chapter 390 is hyped at merely transonic. Now the response I've seen way too much to this is, learn to scale buddy, that's just travel speed. Not only is this argument obviously stupid because Ida's entire gimmick is using his travel speed in combat, but since Ida's inception it's been made clear that Ida's travel speed does not exist in this vacuum isolated from the rest of the versus speed scaling. Example, even in the sports festival, Ida's travel speed blitzes Class 1A students moving faster than they can remotely perceive or react to. Mind you, this includes characters like Deku and Tokoyami, all while Ida himself is hampered by dragging along 3 separate people. And again, we know this Ida couldn't be any faster than Transonic. His travel speed is massively faster than Stain's combat speed, evident by him intercepting Stain's slash against Todoroki. Stain's blade was mere inches away from Todoroki, and Ida crosses a dozen or so feet before Stain's attack can cover these inches. Literally none of this can be reconciled with Mina being relativistic and having light speed reactions. Even if we ignore the data books telling us how the early versions of Ida and Mina compare in speed, with Ida clearly being superior, the narrative speaks for itself. I mean, when you read My Hero Academia, not as a biased power scaler trying to make it as fast as it could possibly be, but as an objective reader, how are Mina and Ida's respective speeds portrayed? Really think about it. Do you think the author intended for Mina to be capable of moving hundreds of thousands of times faster than Ida? Or more specifically, that Sports Festival Mina can move hundreds of thousands of times faster than chapter 390 Ida? Do you think that while some of the best of Class 1A couldn't react to a nerfed Ida's speed, Mina would just see Ida in slow motion and effortlessly embarrass him with the relativistic movement and light speed reactions? Come on, let's be realistic. Do you think that the Ida capable of blitzing even Stain would be essentially a statue to Sports Festival Mina? Come on, tell me with a straight face. Now, some other commonly cited laser feats are obviously Stars and Stripes reacting to a laser and reacting to Shigaraki's radio wave. I put reacting in quotes because Stars and Stripes was literally tagged by this laser directly. We see the impact and most of her body engulfed by the laser, and we see her mask shatter as a result. It is only after being tagged that we then see her hold this laser, and with Shigaraki's radio waves, she is literally dodging in advance of the attack being fired. This is shown explicitly. She's not reacting to it in motion. And to top it all off, Shigaraki himself is literally shown getting tagged by lasers. So all in all, this entire argument just doesn't make sense. And bear in mind, this too would contradict the quite frankly asinine argument of Sports Festival Mina being light speed or relativistic. Like, even within the laser meta itself, it's not even consistent. If Sports Festival Mina is anywhere close to light speed and Seru's Tape and Mina's Acid are light speed, which borderline irrelevant characters can react to, then Shigaraki and Stars and Stripes should be stupidly faster than light, which is contradicted by their very showings of being tagged by light speed projectiles. The movie feats don't help this either, by the way. Y'all kept bringing that up and I don't really understand. This movie feat is shown as evidence of Deku's casual faster than light speed, putting him over 20 times the speed of light, but I kid you not, just a few seconds later, the 20 times faster than light Deku is tagged by light speed lasers several times over. This happens in the same damn scene. Like, when will some of y'all realize this stuff isn't even internally consistent? Now, the other argument used for faster than light My Hero is Lady Nagant's bullets and Deku outspeeding them. Lady Nagant's bullets are calced at sub-relativistic in speed, which is then plugged into this scene of Deku outspeeding them to then posit Deku as FTL. Off rip, the first major issue here is that this is just calc stacking, which is the practice of using results from one calculation in order to calculate other feats. This methodology is notorious for inflating character speeds massively and could literally be used to get just about anyone to faster than light. It's just not convincing. But on top of that, I have issues with the speed calc of Lady Nagant's bullets in the first place. Okay, the argument goes that Lady Nagant was shown to be in Central Hospital and Shigaraki on the coast of Hamamatsu. Nagant's bullets traveled this distance before Shigaraki could seemingly even fully lower his arm, which would make this feat tens of thousands of times faster than sound. But let's look at the distance again. Estimations conclude that the distance between Nagant and Shigaraki in this scene was in excess of 200 kilometers. The problem is that it is canonical fact that Nagant's range is 3 kilometers, which is stated more than once. The only possible way you could reconcile this is by saying that Nagant's final shot against Shigaraki was her most powerful, thus allowing her to fire from dozens of times her range limit, but then no one would actually scale to the speed of these bullets, as the ones Deku outsped would be inferior from a Nagant still capped at the aforementioned 3 kilometer range. The second option is to just dismiss this feat entirely. 200 kilometers not only contradicts the explicit, unambiguous numbers the series gives us on Nagant's range, it also contradicts what we are shown in the very scene itself. The Shigaraki Nagant is aiming at in this scene is close enough to be depicted on the horizon and close enough to be observed through a scope, which Nagant is aiming through. See, at 200 kilometers away, it would quite literally be impossible to see Shigaraki, as he would be well past the horizon and blocked off by the Earth's curvature. For reference, the distance to the horizon when looking at it from a cloud height would be 150 kilometers. Nagant is beneath the clouds and is only sitting on the roof of a building, so anything on the horizon and in between the horizon would be way smaller than this distance. In other words, if Nagant was truly 200 kilometers away from Shigaraki, she would literally be looking through the earth and shooting her bullet through the earth, which isn't shown and is blatantly contradicted. You'd have to make up abilities for Nagant like X-ray vision for this feat to even make sense. And again, the fact that Nagant is looking through the scope for aim can't be understated, because that means her target cannot possibly be blocked off by the Earth's curvature, which it would be at 200 kilometers away. Truth be told, none of this makes sense. I'll get into a better and more convincing way to quantify this showing later on in the video, but I am not convinced this is FTL or anything close remotely. And just for extra credit points, even if I steel man these speeds for Nagant's bullets, there is still the issue that Nagant's bullets are calced at just sub-rail speeds, and Deku needed to use Fox 100% to intercept these sub-rail bullets. If you let MHA scalers tell it, the verse has been FTL since the sports festival, and Deku has been over a dozen times light speed and 30%, so what gives? All in all, Faster Than Light My Hero Academia is flimsy and just does not make any sense. I mean, these same supposedly faster than light characters are blitzed by cloud to ground natural lightning. In regards to the Multicontinental My Hero Academia meta, first and foremost, that comes from inflating Deku's final smash. There isn't much more to say about this that I haven't already said in my past video, but for those that haven't watched it, here's a clip. For those that have, you can skip to this timestamp. The feat in question being the shockwave of Deku's punch clearing a storm in Japan and even changing the weather in America for an entire week. Now the first part of this feat should comfortably be country level, and that's fine with me. But the second half, Deku affecting the weather in America from Japan, that's what people use to get Multicontinental. The issue with all these Multicontinental calcs is really simple, it just comes down to speed. The Multicontinental yield comes from estimating the speed at which Deku's shockwaves reaches the cloud, which is assumed to be roughly Mach 86. And then assuming Deku dispersed all of the air between Mount Fuji to the edge of the United States at this exact same velocity. While Deku's initial shockwave being Mach 86 is fine, applying this to the subsequent dispersion of the air across continents is obviously flawed. Deku's shockwave only moved that fast because it affected a set portion of air. When a shockwave disperses and affects more mass, it slows down. Or in other words, there is no reason for the velocity to remain constant as the calc assumes when the mass affected is continuously increasing. You can only use the Mach 86 velocity for the initial shockwave. People in my comments have been mentioning Deku splitting Dark Might's ship to further support the Multicontinental meta, but the Multicontinental calc people cite uses very dubious pixel scaling. Like, the ship clearly is not as big as the pixel scaling would imply, as we blatantly see how it compares to a city, which the calcer themselves admits and acknowledges, but ignores in favor of the pixel scaling calc that again contradicts what we are shown. This is literally a sub-city sized ship. How could you possibly believe this is Multicontinental? So of course this all begs the question of how strong I think My Hero even is. As I touched on, the lowball of My Hero to supersonic at best and city level is equally, if not more egregious than the wink I've seen. The most impressive inconsistent speed feat the My Hero Academia verse has going for it is Lady Nagant's bullets and Deku reacting to and outspeeding it. While I disagree with the sub-relativistic calcs for reasons already mentioned, Nagant's bullets are clearly massively faster than any real-life sniper rounds that exist in real life, which would make Deku outspeeding it to this degree easily in excess of Mach 100. Which is noteworthy for the high and top tiers of the verse, as this is not the ceiling, with people like Shigaraki being even faster than Deku. In terms of attack potency, My Hero is sitting on a treasure trove of island to country level feats that one could take their pick from. From 100% one for all shared between Bakugo and Deku dispersing an island threatening storm and creating an explosion that dwarfs said island, to Stars and Stripes dispersing the clouds over a massive distance and a cruise punch that creates a large crater, all clocking in around the large island's small country level ranges. And this, mind you, is a level of power that her own construct is able to no-sell and ignore. This fits in nicely with Deku's aforementioned final smash, which would concretely be large country level, as I've said. And that should about do it for the general scaling of the verse. After I cover Metroman, I'll get into specific characters and their hacks and how they would interact with Metroman. Metroman is one of those quality over quantity type of characters. Not a lot of feats, but the few that he does have are highly impressive and pretty much speak for themselves. In terms of raw power, Metroman scaling is fairly straightforward. Beams from Megamind's Death Ray possess the full concentrated power of the sun. The sun outputs multi-continental levels of energy a second, it's a pretty safe estimate to use here. And since the sun's power is explicitly concentrated, this would be a clear example of AP versus DC, where the visual scale of the attack has no bearing on its full potency because again, it's concentrated, as in it is supposed to be used on a smaller, more precise scale by design. While Metroman never actually tanked this attack, I mean the entire narrative of the film is quite literally that Megamind, despite his best efforts, can't do anything to Metroman and his schemes always fail without fail, in embarrassing fashion. To corroborate this though, the writers themselves confirm Metroman would have survived this attack, so it's pretty much irrefutable that he scales to this. This would make his durability multi-continental, and his AP should realistically scale unless you think he's incapable of remotely hurting himself whatsoever. And again, narrative wise, it wouldn't track for Megamind to have weapons more powerful than Metroman himself. This actually later becomes consistent as we later see Villain destroy a meteor that is 10 miles wide, vastly overpowering its kinetic energy. On top of that, the meteor was durable enough to no-sell an item level explosion for Megamind's D-gun. So Villain essentially destroyed a 10-mile wide meteor with item level durability and overpowered its kinetic energy. For reference, the asteroid that wiped out all of the dinosaurs was country level and only 6 miles long. So yeah, this is insanely impressive, and Metroman is routinely portrayed as superior to him. Now for speed. Look, in terms of speed, Metroman alone has some of the most explicit and impressive feats I've ever seen in an animated movie. In an effort to clear his head, Metroman uses the super speed to traverse the city, spending an entire day's worth of activity across Metro City while everything is motionless in comparison. He reads numerous books, flies a kite, even eats lunch, all while everyone and everything in his vicinity is rendered a statue. If you crunch the numbers, you would easily get results in excess of light speed from these factors alone, and keep in mind, this is non-combative. Metroman is clocking in at faster than light whilst taking a superhero mental health day and is hardly anywhere close to his physical limit. What makes this even more impressive is that we later see Megamind's death ray moving at a snail's pace from Metroman's perspective. The speed of Megamind's death ray blast is easily at least massively hypersonic given the sheer distance it crossed in a 1 second time frame. From Metroman's perspective, this beam takes a couple of seconds just to cross a dozen or so meters. This feat would be dozens of times FTL, but the truth is that massively hypersonic is a lowball. On top of this blast blatantly coming from the sun itself, the blast is literally described as a beam of light. So Metroman realistically is statuing a light speed attack which would catapult his speed way into the massively faster than light ranges. So off rip, Metroman's stats are way too much for 99% of the My Hero verse. Now listen closely, even if I granted all of the My Hero high-end scaling multi-continental faster than light, it wouldn't change anything. Metroman would still be multiple blitz tiers faster. I mean, hell, Megamind has its own fair share of laser timing feats if we really want to go there, such as Megamind dodging Titan's laser or Goldfish gang timing lasers, and we all know and we all saw how they were doing the mannequin challenge with the casual Metroman, so the speed disparity is always going to exist regardless. Moreover, with the multi-continental arguments, Metroman would still have higher AP to put down all of them and then some. Metroman's multi-continental scaling would realistically trend closer to moon level if anything. Recall what I said about the sun outputting multi-continental energy in a second? Well, Megamind's death rate took over a minute to charge the attack, so its potency would reflect a notably higher level of output from the sun. In either case, Metroman would easily foderize one-dimensional bricks like All Might. The only characters worth talking about are people like Shigaraki and All For One and their regeneration and rewind abilities respectively. However, both of these abilities can be taxed, and in truth, there's nothing they could do to even tag Metroman in the first place. They are also statues to him. But I mean, just for fun, you could easily argue Metroman having notable hacks resistance to abilities like matter manipulation. As I mentioned before, the entire narrative of the film is that Metroman is this unstoppable god tier of the verse, so overpowered he got bored of being a superhero and someone Megamind could never hope to defeat despite all of his efforts. This is someone whose invulnerability is routinely emphasized even by Megamind himself. Therefore, it is pretty safe to say Megamind doesn't have a single weapon capable of doing Metroman in, which ranges from his particle collider that atomizes everything, or his device that unintentionally turned the entire Atlantic Ocean into jello. More consistency for Multicontinental Megamind. Someone who can achieve multi-continental transmutation by accident and can create gear that destabilizes time itself, practically dedicated their entire life to prepping to beat Metroman and failed hilariously each and every time. There's a very solid basis that Metroman has the hack resistance to just ignore My Hero's best abilities. But again, that's assuming anyone would even perceive him, which isn't possible. So yeah, Metroman does indeed solo My Hero Academia. This was a fun video to make, and hopefully it was worth the wait for the people that was asking for it. I got a lot of videos planned. I know Kilo vs Sasuke was the runner-up on the polls, so I'm cooking with that, don't worry. I also got a special video in honor of Death Battle that's cooking, so if you enjoyed this, subscribe and let me know in the comments what verses and battles you'd like to see covered. I'm definitely reading all of it and listening all of it. I definitely want to keep y'all entertained and yeah, heed y'all wishes. But yeah, easy out. And my hero fans, I don't want no smoke. I don't want y'all to be hating on me. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is going to be my life. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to take a hiatus from speaking on my hero for a minute. You know, I just had to just get this off my chest. You know, and then I'm going to spin the block on other verses because I disagree with more than just I see JJK Wang. I see Naruto Wang. I see even MCU, DC. I see a lot of highballs. So it's not just like I'm just going to dogpile my hero trust. I got a lot of nuanced opinions for other verses as well. You know what I'm saying? But it's all love, all love, all love. You know, hey, I may make another battle where Deku with you know what I'm saying? That Deku versus Sukuna, that's a winnable fight for Deku. That's a winnable, you know what I'm saying? So just, hey, chill on me. Chill on me. Because some of y'all was just talking about because one of y'all was in the comments talking about oh, that's why your channel sucks. You're not going to see. It's like, damn, I was just, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't trying to, you know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't even got to be that deep, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, nah. I'm just kidding. But yeah, easy out.